Welcome to Over 40, Fabulous and Pregnant. I am your host, Jamie Massey, and you're listening to episode 80. If you are looking for pregnancy stories of women over 40, today we have a little something different. I started making every 10 episodes a roundtable discussion, and it seems like you really liked that. I started with episode 70 with the donor egg conception roundtable. And today, as the next 10th episode, we have a roundtable to discuss IVF over 40. We have returning guests Sonia and Nisha and first-time guest Adriana. I truly think these episodes are some of my best work, so I'll be continuing them in the future. This is part 1 because the recording is about 3 hours long, and I put a poll out on Instagram, and it was decided to make this into 2 episodes. This part 1, we discuss our experiences and general questions on IVF. Part 2 will be next week, where we go through the IVF process and discuss each step and our experiences. I think this is just the kind of variety I want to bring to the podcast. So as much work as they are, I will be doing this more. We have first-time guest Adriana on the show coming on to share her experiences because IVF hasn't worked for her. A huge, huge thank you to her and what courage it took to come on the show. We figured out during the recording, well, before we started recording, that she only lives about 10 minutes away from me. So about a week after the recording, we met up for coffee. We had so much fun. I got sunburned on the back of my neck, but also it was so nice to sit down and be around someone else that has been through it. So please consider sending her a note to give her all the baby dust in her future journeys. And today, for listener feedback, we have Antoinette. I hope I'm saying your name right. She says, "Hi, Jamie. Just want to let you know how much I love your podcast and look forward to the new episode each week. Such a badly needed resource. Huge congrats on pulling it all together. I'm a few weeks ahead of you on our journey. I think you're 9 weeks now. I'm 15 weeks with embryo adoption. Looking forward to your membership opening." This is an old comment, obviously, and I save these because these notes means so much to me. Antoinette, congratulations on your snowflake adoption. It's amazing how many families are being created with embryo adoption and donors. That means she is about 32 weeks pregnant, so she will be holding her new little one in her arms soon. For my pregnancy update, I am now 43 years old and 28 weeks and 2 days pregnant using donor eggs. Not too much has changed, and I want to keep it a little short today. My baby shower is scheduled and the evites are out for next month. I'm so excited to celebrate. My husband has a goal to get our guest bathroom done before Mother's Day, which is the weekend of my shower. That just makes me so happy. 2 working bathrooms. Yes. I can't wait to get back to taking baths again. And you know what's funny? I really expected more strangers to make comments about my bump, but they don't, which it just kind of surprises me. And I am just about ready to plan our next roundtable discussion as episode 90. That might be our last episode before I give birth. How wild is that? I'm planning to take a few months break with a few updates here and there on the show on how things are going. I have been going back and forth on what the shows are going to be like afterwards. I know I do want to add more variety, as I mentioned. I think I want to add expert shows and more thought work episodes like the Believing in Money episodes. But I really struggle with being rigid. Until episode 90, we'll have stories over 40, and then episode 90 is scheduled to be the Pregnancy After Loss Roundtable. And I just want to come back and give you so much more value. And with that, let's get into the IVF over 40 roundtable discussion. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is the IVF over 40 roundtable show. I have 3 ladies on, plus myself, to discuss our experiences using the IVF process. The 4 of us all have unique experiences. I'm pregnant using donor eggs, as you know. We have a returning guest from episode 50, Sonia, and her daughter was conceived using donor eggs. Nisha was 43 and was pregnant with her first transfer with 1 embryo that led to 2 twin girls. Our first-time guest, Adriana, is on to share her experience where IVF hasn't worked. I'm so big on sharing what is possible, but I hear from so many of you that IVF isn't working. When I was creating this show, I really felt like I wanted to give those of you where IVF hasn't worked a voice. So thank you, Adriana, for coming on and sharing your experience. The goal of this show is to share our experiences of the IVF process. So maybe you can be more confident if IVF is right for you. Y'all, I get so confused when someone says they're doing the IVF process because I'm like, it's a 50-step process. Mm-hmm. Where are you? What are you doing? So it's such a broad statement. Let's start with what is IVF. And it's really just the process of creating an embryo in the lab, no matter whose egg or sperm it is. Does anybody have anything else to add to that?
No, I think like in terms of like basic, like what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. For this show, we're going to be more focused on the common way of going through the process, which is having an egg retrieval and using our own eggs with a partner. I know me and Sonia have different experiences with donor eggs, but that's another show.
Yeah.
Before we get into the show, ladies, will you tell us a little bit about yourself? Sonia, would you like to go first?
Yeah. So I am recently moved to Arizona from Texas. My husband's in the Air Force, so we got restationed here. As you said, I have an amazing daughter who's now 14 months. And I'm so lucky that everything worked out for me. But I did, like you said, use donor eggs. And yeah, I'm a professor of political science, but now I'm diving into this world and possibly making a bit of a career change. So TBD on that stuff. I know, right?
Exciting.
So exciting. It is, but it's also really sad because there's work that needs to be done. But as a policy analyst expert, I mean, I hesitate when I say that, but I mean, it is what my training is in. I'm like, there's a need for it now to help women and legislators and just the general, it's not even about awareness. It's about like, how can we craft better legislation to help women?
I love that. Nisha, what about you?
Hi, so I'm Nisha. I'm from London. I'm 44. Forgot my age nearly then. I have twin girls through the IVF process. They are coming up to 10 months. I'm a sales trainer and mentor. I love what I do. I'm actually about to launch a new business within the same industry, but supporting all these young, vibrant salespeople to be better at their craft, which is not about pushing sales, but about being interested in people and helping people. So really excited about that. It's a technology platform that we're launching. And I went back to work after 6 months. And I just love the balance, and I love kind of coming back home to the babies and spending time with them, but also still kind of not leaving Nisha and kind of making sure that she's still alive and she's still doing things as well. So I'm managing to create a balance. That's what I've been working on for the last few months. But that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Nisha, now, did you get maternity leave for 6 months, or was that just your plan?
No, I did. I'm incredibly lucky. I have a very, very supportive. I work for a small business and I have a very supportive boss. And he pretty much said, I'm going to pay you full wages for 6 months. And then after that, let's talk. If you're not ready to come back, we can discuss and plan
I know, right?
we'll have different options in place. So I wasn't ready to go back full time. I'm not sure I ever will be, because I don't feel like I'm ever going to get this time back with the babies. So I'll always do part-time. But, working for a small business, you have to be really flexible, and he knows that. And we have a very trusting relationship. So he invested in me when I needed him. And I'm now working crazy hours when the kids are going to sleep or in between naps and just getting things done. But yeah, I'm very, very lucky in that respect. And yeah, it's an interesting time when you go back to work and, you start thinking about what you really want, and you start making decisions around what's important, and your perspective changes as well, because every decision you make is based on, well, what role model do I want to represent for my babies? What advice would I be giving them if they were going to change careers or make life-changing decisions? So yeah, but I think I've made the right decision. I don't want to go back full time. There are things that are not more important, but just as important, that I need to balance into my world and embed into my world.
Yeah, everyone in the US is jealous right now of your 6 months leave.
I know, Adriana, I know you haven't introduced yourself, but I just want to add, I think that's the other piece of it, of being older, right? Because I'm 45. And so, also taking a pause from my career, if you would have asked me at 30, I laughed at you and been like, there's no way I'm taking this huge pause from my career. But I think it's it's age, but it also is where you are in your life too. Yeah. And it's not about, I always try to tell people, it's not about children are the most important thing, but I think there's again, and if you struggle to get pregnant too, there's a different element, but that age, I think that's my daughter gets to see the best version of myself.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. Sorry, I know you haven't introduced yourself yet, Adriana. I didn't want to.
That is okay. I think that is important because my employer actually gives 4 months. It's 4 months of
nice.
And paternity leave. So it's great. But Adriana, I from Fort Worth originally. I've always lived here. I am in the banking industry. And so I just celebrated my 16 years with my employer. Yay. And April 1st, I will start a new job at the regional level, which means I will be covering all of DFW, New Mexico, and West Texas. So some Amazing. Traveling will be involved.
Oh, yay. West Texas is so fun to travel to.
Yeah. I can't wait. This is so exciting.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into the questions. I do want to make sure that this is more of a conversation. So ladies, please feel free to respond, add to the conversation, or ask additional questions. The questions are in the IVF process order for the show. It's a very linear process. And I think we all know better that it is not a linear process. It always bounces around. Mm-hmm. So do we have any questions before we get started?
No, I don't.
Okay. No. So did you consider any other options before the IVF process? Nisha, would you like to go first?
I think the IVF process was always my first number one choice. So I'd say no, aside from obviously trying naturally, but I was very open to different sort of contingency plans that I started putting in place if IVF didn't work.
Mm-hmm. Adriana, what about you?
Not really. I knew when I was 37 that I had diminished ovarian reserve. And so I didn't know. And so when I froze my eggs, I thought, this is it. This is the only way that I will be able to get pregnant. So no, I didn't consider anything else.
Now, did you have IUIs?
I did. After, of course, nothing's linear in this process. So there were some shifts and pivots. So there are IUIs, IVF, involved.
Okay.
And I started that process in 2017.
Did you do an IUI after IVF or before?
After, which is very weird. No one really ever did that. And I can talk about that as we continue with the questions. Yeah.
Okay. Sonia?
Yeah, no, IVF wasn't on our radar at all, actually. So we did IUIs, and when and I put worked in air quotes because that's when I miscarried, I was like, I think I was in denial. Maybe that's the better thing. I was like, this other stuff has to work. This other stuff has to work.
Yeah, you didn't need IVF.
Yeah, no.
What do you think made the IVF process different in your 40s versus being younger? Adriana?
That's a good question. I really had to think about this one. As I think of the process, I was thinking it's the same for everyone, right? The ups and downs, roller coaster, hurry up and wait, all of these things. However, I think just our clock ticking and knowing that a failed cycle, a cyst, something that didn't come back normal, that could delay you a month. It could delay you 2 months. So I think that would probably be the only difference. We just don't have as much time.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally you think, oh, well, in my head, I'm going to do an IVF, take a month off, and then do another one, and then do another, and then I'll be done in like 6 months and I'll have a baby.
Mm-hmm. If it was only that easy.
Exactly. It sounded good.
Uh-huh. Sonia?
Yeah, I would agree. Like I never struggled with my age, like even getting older. Like I just always saw it as a privilege until infertility slammed me in the face. And then, like a crazy person, every time I would watch like a show or see a celebrity that I know had been around for a while, I'm Googling how old they are. Like a psycho person going, okay, so how old are they? How old are they? And how old am I? And how do they look? And how do I look? But all of that was triggered from like infertility.
Mm-hmm.
And so that piece is so like women struggle with age and birthdays and all that in the IVF world, right? Or in the infertility world. But that piece of in your 40s, at least for me, I felt my age as, I don't want to be dramatic and say a death sentence, but there were some dark days.
Yeah.
There were some dark, dark days for sure.
Uh-huh. I think we already have that in our 40s. Like, I think our birthdays are already hard in our 40s. And they put all these fertility challenges, and it's just like that much heightened.
Yeah.
Nisha, what about you?
Yeah, same. I couldn't put it any better. I think for me, my husband's 11 years younger than me. And so...
Go you, by the way.
And that if you met him, he acts about 20 years older than me. So it's he's like, I call him a walking Buddha. He's so wise and he's so mature. But right from day one, since meeting him, there's always been that kind of conversation in my head around my age, his age. At what point am I going to find out that it's not the right match because he's so much younger, and that's where it's not going to work because I've just seen this thing in him where he's so immature, and it's just never happened. And then when I started thinking about fertility and IVF, the pressure is on. And just like you, I would start Googling like celebrities, and I'd be like, oh, if that celebrity can fall pregnant at that age, then I can fall pregnant. And I would look for inspiration with older women constantly. Like this podcast, I think if I had listened, I came across it after I'd had the babies, but I think this podcast in itself is so inspiring to so many women, because you do automatically, after 14, if you're trying for a baby, look for people and look for that comparison and think to yourself, they can do, and you need that to keep you going. So
yes,
yeah, I was doing exactly the same thing. And I totally get it. You
so
feel like you're
wild.
fighting against time.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you want confirmation with other women going through the same thing you're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about our IVF experiences overall. How were they? Sonia, how was yours?
I mean, emotionally, like awful. But in terms of like the clinic that I chose and then the RE that I worked with, that part was good. And I felt like, because there's a lot of clinics that, at least in the US, that'll push IVF first on everybody, regardless of what your needs are and what your diagnosis is. And I never felt that pressure. It was always very like, here's the data, here's what we're looking at, here's the probability. You get to make this choice and we're going to support you. Like even when I don't like using the word crazy, but even when I was like in the IVF tunnel vision or that infertility tunnel vision, and I wanted to do another IUI because they were working, but not really. I was having miscarriages. They were like, we'll do this one more time. We'll go ahead and we'll try this. Like I don't want to say humored me. They just, I think they saw the pain and they were like, okay, we can try this one more time.
Yeah. How long was your whole IVF experience from start to pregnancy?
6 years.
Okay. Double mine. Oh my gosh.
6 years.
Wow. Yeah. Nisha, what about yours?
I think the process itself probably got harder towards the end when you're waiting for results and when your body has gone through it with the injections and the hormones all over the place. At the beginning, you're kind of running on adrenaline and you're like, I can do this. I'm ready. I'm fresh. I can conquer the world. Let's go for it. You're positive. And then you feel like slowly it takes its toll, and you've got to really, it's a mental battle towards the end, I think. And I'm definitely one of the lucky ones where my journey wasn't very long. And I had, even though at every stage, I don't know whether it's just the doctors in the UK, but they're very straightforward and they'll say things like, just to be clear, at your age with, our research, the probability of you, falling pregnant is very low. Your egg reserve is very low. Every month you leave it, it's less likely that you're going to fall pregnant. So you're already bombarded with these facts because they don't want to give you false hope. And you have to kind of mentally push against that at a time where your body is also physically tired and you're emotionally drained. So I'd say it was actually fine, but towards the end was when I remember it being really tough. And those were my darkest days.
Yeah. I know for me, I kind of went into the whole process thinking, what's so hard about it? Look, silly me.
Mm-hmm.
Adriana, let's talk about yours. You said you started in 2017?
Yes. So my situation's a little bit different. And so I started in 2017. I just went to my OBGYN and I don't know what made me think of this. And I thought, is there a way to check my fertility? Absolutely. So she referred me to, she gave me a couple of names of doctors and I went with the first one. And so my first experience was, I would say, was good. It is an emotional roller coaster. It was then, and I'm not a super emotional person. So it was weird going through the ups and downs of all of the emotions, but that office was great. I love the doctor. He was great. And then the second time it was further out. So I was driving it's in Frisco. So I was driving about an hour and 15 minutes, maybe longer.
Whoa.
And I knew the doctor when he was doing his residency here in Fort Worth. So it was kind of interesting. I like him a lot. And I really like the staff there. I feel like they're more responsive. They have the technology that my previous doctor didn't have. So the second time was definitely tough because I was going through the entire process. I wasn't just freezing my eggs. When I did it in 2017, I froze my eggs. That was it. They're frozen. When I'm ready to have a baby, I'm just going to go through with the process. So I didn't think anything of it. I just didn't think I thought it'll happen. So anyway, the second one was definitely more difficult, more challenging. It's an emotional roller coaster, best way to describe it, along with a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah. So much waiting.
Yes. And you would think the wait part would be the easy part because you're not really doing anything, but your brain is just going through every scenario, Googling, researching. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like you feel like you need to do something during that waiting period.
And you can't really work out. Well, most tell you can't really work out. There's nothing you can do.
It's like holding your breath.
Yes.
And everything is so tense the entire time. You're just like holding the breath so tense, holding the breath so tense. It's yeah.
Okay. Now, Adriana, do you have a daughter?
I don't. She's my niece.
Oh, okay. She has one on her Instagram.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I'm obsessed with her. So you see her almost every day. And I just love her. Yeah.
Being an aunt is amazing also.
I love it.
Okay. So let's talk about getting started with our journey. What was your journey to using IVF? And tell us a little more about your IVF journey. I think how long was it, etc. Nisha, you want to start that?
Yeah, sure. So we got married over COVID and I rushed through it just because I wanted to be married and then try for a baby. And we tried for a year. It wasn't happening. So we did all the tests and we found out that Joe's sperm count and quality was fine. It was great. It was my egg count in terms of quality and quantity, which was low. So we were advised to just get straight onto IVF because every month you're delaying it, it's going to be harder and harder. We did 3 rounds. I think the process was probably about 2 years in total. I did 3 rounds of egg collection and we ended up with 2 viable embryos. We implanted 1 embryo in September and I fell pregnant with that first embryo straight away. And then I had the babies 9 months later.
Adriana, what about yours?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier,
I was like, strap in. This is, she's been through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So initially in 2017, so when I went to the RE and I thought everything's going to be great. I'm going to have so many eggs. I didn't even know how many eggs we were supposed to have, if there was enough. I knew nothing, right? At that time, my AMH was 0.16 at 37.
Oh, wow.
So my RE at that time, I mean, he's great. He really treats you like a family member. He was great. And so he told me at that time, Adriana, your insurance does not cover this. It is a very expensive process. I will support you. I will do whatever you want me to do, but I want to give you the statistics, right? I want you to be informed because right now I may be able to get 3 eggs, 2 to 3, maybe. So it's a decision you'll have to make. Anyway, at that point in time, I was not in a relationship and I thought about it, cried about it. And I thought, nobody in my family has ever had any issues. Like, why me? My sister's a nurse, of course, but she doesn't specialize in that. So I told her, okay, you need to come back with me to this doctor. Tell me what you think. What are your thoughts? And so I decided to do it. And so I got 6 eggs. I mean, we celebrated. Adriana, we're going to have twins, high five. It was good. Right. And then I didn't think about it until 2022. In 2022, I was in a relationship, started a relationship, and ended up getting pregnant on my own in 3 months.
Wow, in 3 months.
3 months. My partner at the time said, well, let's just try, it's like, whatever, I'll entertain it because it's not going to happen. There is no way. My AMH at that time was like 0.092. Like, it's not going to happen. So I get pregnant. And so for my 8-week doctor appointment for the sonogram, the baby didn't have a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. So, that happened. And that's really when I started thinking, I have got to really figure out my timeline. When do we want to do this?
And also grieve too.
Oh, yeah. I did not grieve.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Like I'm starting now, which is insane because it's been 2 years.
Keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I didn't allow myself to really feel anything. I just, let's go. This is what we got to do. And so 2023, last year in February, we decided, let's just finish the IVF process, which that process was easy because I didn't have to do anything, right? They pull the eggs, fertilize the eggs, all fertilized. 5 survived the thaw out of the 6. They all fertilized. 2 made it to blastocyst. Initially, the report said they looked really good. They were good quality. I don't remember how they were graded. And then they came back and both were abnormal. So I had all my eggs in one basket, like
literally.
And I thought, at 37, I have eggs. I mean, Dr. K told me I was probably going to have twins. It's exciting. So we're back to square one. I have nothing. And my AMH is again 0.09. So talking to the doctor again, having the conversation of it's expensive. What are we going to do? Like, you know what, let's just throw a Hail Mary. Let's just do IUIs because why not? It's basically being covered by my insurance. So we did an IUI. That didn't work. And then his staff at that time, he was having issues. They were not returning my calls. And you know how stressful that is, especially when it comes to actually making it like, hey, I started my period. So I decided to leave. But what I did appreciate is he called me after I reported that I was not pregnant. He took the time to call and talk to me about it. And then I listened to Sonia's podcast and I thought, oh, I know this doctor. I used to work with him when I was in college. So I started going to Dr. Koo and I did, oh my gosh, I had a cancel IUI due to COVID. I had an IVF with a fresh transfer that didn't work. And then I had another cycle that was canceled because I had 0 follicles at that time. So that's it. Yeah.
Can I also say that getting on like this, knowing that 2 of us have a living child, and with Jamie being pregnant, Adriana, like that takes a lot of, I don't know, I use the word courage, but again, if other women can't do it, that's okay. But the fact that you're doing this and like still, showing up in the space, like give yourself a lot of credit. Give yourself a lot of credit. Yeah, because that's not easy to do.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's important because I felt like I treated this as a secret job, right? Like, this is what I'm doing. I'm not telling anyone.
Yeah.
But it's such a lonely road. And I just want to, hopefully there's more awareness so that people know, hey, this is what you can do. You should totally reach out to others. You should have your support group. You should have your tribe.
Yeah. No, but I think like that's like, it's all part of what women need to know, especially as they age and what this process looks like and like planning ahead and thinking about like what you want. And then also not, naively celebrating, thinking that this is my 100%, like understanding like this is a possibility, but I still need to be proactive if having children, in this way is what I want.
Yeah.
Yes. And really what I thought, okay, I'm going to do IVF, so it's going to work.
Yeah.
Because IVF works. Like I didn't think there was another option. So,
yeah. IVF is a chance. It's not a promise. And that's so hard to forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Our next question is, how did you find your clinic? What was important to you? Adriana, you want to start with that one?
Yes. And I mentioned it earlier. The first one was through my OBGYN. The second one was through Sonia.
That's awesome. And I think that is a good point to note that you don't have to be stuck at one, because I've felt that way before.
Yeah.
Is it different in the UK? Like I'm assuming that are you able to choose your REs as well? Okay.
The whole kind of, in terms of paying for IVF, I'm not sure what the rules are in the US, but in the UK, once you get to 40, a lot of boroughs within the UK stop supporting IVF, so you can't get it free from the NHS, the National Health Service. But my doctor was like really trying to push for it and was trying to find out whether my local borough would support it and that I could get it at least one round for free. Unfortunately, I couldn't, so I had to go through the private route anyway. Okay. But I had a friend of mine who luckily lives in a borough where the hospitals will support it up until I think 43, and she's going through it and she's getting one round for free. So it's a stupid rule. It's another example of how people write you off at 40 and say, well, this is going to happen, so we're not going to put any budget to it. It needs to change, I think.
And there was also a majority of these policies were established by men too. Just saying. No, they were. I mean, it's not even like they absolutely were.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, by then, she's done. She doesn't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And it really limits like women, especially if they've gone through like cancer, like there are all these other health conditions that can delay, somebody starting a family. There can be choice too, right? Like there should be no judgment either way. Yeah. But yeah. Putting that limit that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I agree.
Expensive.
Yeah.
Sonia, what about you? How did you find your clinic?
So mine was my first clinic. Like I was like one of the lucky ones where it's like my first clinic, my only clinic. I didn't get really any other second opinions. But I think because everything was, each step of the way, everything was pretty straightforward. Like I didn't feel like I was going to get a different answer going somewhere else. Right. And I think part of that is age, but then also just what's happening and circumstance. So my OB and my primary care doctor also referred me to the same RE, also to Dr. Koo, and met with him, and he's dorky and I love it so much. Yeah. And it was just a good match. It was just a good match. Mm-hmm. And again, I always tell everybody, it's not to say like, the clinic isn't perfect. The doctor's not perfect. Not everybody jives with every RE, because for some women that are more into like the RI, like the reproductive immunology, that's something that the clinic I go to, they're not opposed to, but they definitely don't specialize in, and it's not part of their protocol. And so if somebody wants that, then they need to find another clinic that does. And that's the other thing too, just trying to, I think, explain to women that you need to find, somebody that's going to listen to you, but then you do also need to do some of the work yourself. You just do. I think even if you have a really supportive doctor, like you just got to like reaching out to other women and listening to this stuff is doing this other work that I think is really important.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of women almost complain that their doctor isn't more emotionally supportive. And I think, especially when you're dealing with these types of doctors, they are not emotional about a lot. Yeah. And it's like you have to take that to someone else, and they will not be that for you. They are there to give you all the facts and the risks. And it's unfortunate, but also a reality.
Well, they can be compassionate, right?
True.
So I feel like my RE, I feel like he was really compassionate. But that emotional, so the compassion, yes. But then, the emotional support needs to come from therapists, support groups, right? The RE absolutely should be compassionate and empathetic.
Definitely.
But can't also be your emotional support.
Right. Okay. Is there any good questions to ask your clinic during a consultation? Sonia, you want to start that one?
Yeah. I mean, if there's like 1,000 of them, I would say if we're targeting first, like women in our age group, then I would definitely get them to write down what they like what your stats are, right? For you to make an informed and really listen to those stats, right? Like if it's like a 10% chance, understand that, yes, it's a possibility, but how small that possibility is. And then the other thing, when do they do a retrieval? So some clinics won't do a retrieval if you only have 3 follicles, for example.
Or one.
Right. Some clinics don't do mini IVFs right now. So, right, really understanding like what's going to be most beneficial for your age or diagnosis. And then understanding, is that clinic providing you with that?
Those are good. Nisha, what do you have to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think like don't be afraid to ask them to use really simple language and to define everything and explain the journey so that you can process it in your head. I kind of held back quite a bit because I was quite intimidated by my doctor. I mean, he was lovely, but I just felt like, oh, maybe that's a stupid question. Maybe I shouldn't ask that. Maybe I'll Google that later. But actually, this is your one chance and your opportunity where you've got that expert in front of you. So don't hold back. Even if you think it's a silly question, just ask it, because I'm sure they've heard it all before. And think about kind of like I found it comforting to always have like a contingency plan in place with the doctor. So if this doesn't happen, what next? What would be my options? And the great thing is that he would always say, let's focus on this bit first, and then we'll move on to the next bit if it doesn't happen. However, these could be your routes. So yeah, I think that that's probably my recommendation in terms of the questions and the kind of experience with your doctor during those consultations.
Those are good ones.
That's a really good point. The questions, like, yeah, there's no stupid questions. And honestly, even if the doctor makes you feel like you should know it, then that's the wrong doctor for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Because sometimes it's just like, it's like when I do my sales training, sometimes I walk away going, is that really obvious what I've told them? Like, am I almost insulting them by saying you should do X, Y, and Z? So then, you know, so when you're an expert, you just kind of assume that people know stuff. But there were some things that I really didn't know. I mean, I didn't even know what an embryo was when I first started. And when I first started talking to them, I was so stupid with the whole thing. Like I was so naive. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I didn't really care. I didn't really hold back. And I think just even saying things like, how much is this going to hurt? Like, what do people, you know, when you put that injection in, how do people feel? Like, describe it, because I go with feelings a lot. So I needed explanation for everything. Like, how's it going to feel? How am I going to, what are my symptoms? What could be my possible symptoms? And I wanted to know the probability and the statistics, but I also very quickly learned that the statistics don't mean anything. I smashed every statistic out there. I keep saying that on my Instagram, but it's really good to know and have that information, and just don't be afraid to ask anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. The language they use, you are kind of overwhelmed at first. Huh?
Yeah.
Adriana, what good questions are good to ask at a consultation?
Yeah. I think the first thing that is helpful is before you have your appointment, whether it's 2 weeks, a month, whatever, just sit down and really write down your questions, because you can think I have it here. You get there. Do you have any questions? No. You get in the car and you're like, oh my God, what happened? So I'm very type A. So of course I'm going to sit there and write all of the questions, and my tribe, I'll text them, hey, what would you ask? You know, none of them have been through IVF, but just doing some research. So for me, it was, okay, what is the communication with the office, right? As we make progress, is there an app? Because my current doctor has an app and it's very easy to communicate with them. My previous doctor did not. It was all phone calls and it was playing phone tag all day long. So I think that's important communication. For me, also, just explain the process from A to Z. What is it? I have no earthly idea. And this doctor, my first RE, I mean, he took the time. I was probably in there an hour, hour and a half, kid you not. Not once did he look at his watch. Drawing, had diagrams, and it was kind of funny, but I appreciated that. Asking also about, for me, okay, so if we have a power outage, do you have a backup to the backup? He's like, oh yeah, we do. We're in a hospital district, so we have a backup generator and a backup to the backup. Okay, perfect. Because that was important to me too. I'm like, what would, I mean, they're frozen, but if the electricity goes out, what happens?
Yeah.
So I think those are just important questions, and everybody's situation is different, but really thinking it through so you can get the most out of that appointment. Or if this doesn't work, what would be a next step, right?
Yep. I write things down in my phone before I go to appointments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel informed, educated while going through the process with your clinic? What was the education like? Nisha, you want to start that one?
Did I feel informed, educated? In some ways, yes. In other ways, no. So yes, in terms of the practical things, like how to inject, when to take tablets, what the tablets mean, what's it doing to my body, all of those kind of things. But in other ways, for example, I was told, well, there's no point even talking about you having twins because there's only a 0.01% chance of the embryo splitting. And then what happened? So I would say I feel quite mixed in terms of how informed I was and how educated I was. I think I didn't even bother doing any research on twins because I just thought, well, it's not going to happen. I thought the nurses and everyone, the sonographers had all got it wrong. I told them to check about 50 times. And, whereas if I knew that there was going to be a possibility of that happening, I probably would have educated myself a bit more. But I felt like, aside from the whole twin thing, I still felt like even though they would explain things, I would still Google it. I would still want to back up their statistics with more statistics from Google, or learn about more side effects that this specific injection could have. But yeah, so I think it was probably a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm. Adriana, what about you?
I feel that way as well, because I knew nothing and I'm learning so much. I'm thinking, I know everything now. I really do. But again, the first time when I froze my eggs, walking away, in my head, I was thinking, this is going to work. I will have a set of twins. Like, that's it. Mm-hmm. So I really wasn't to that degree. I think there's just so much more to it. So it's mixed as well.
Well, just out of interest, you've mentioned twins quite a bit. Uh-huh. Is that because you were going to implant 2 embryos, or
no?
It was just a feeling that and a kind of visualization that you had of your life.
I didn't even think about that until my retrieval, because initially we thought we're going to get maybe 2 eggs, Adriana, maybe 2 or 3. It ended up being 6, all mature. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm just a high producer of eggs over here. Good quality, they're mature. Go me, right? And so as I'm coming out of the anesthesia, the doctor walks in and he's celebrating with me, like, hey, you did this, you did so great. We're going to get you twins. High five. And so that in my brain, since I was 37, I mean, not only was I thinking I was going to have one, he was like, no, we can do this. So it was also very misleading. And
He set high expectations and you were like, I'm there.
Yeah. And I had already exceeded our expectations from day one, thinking, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. We may get 2 or 3 eggs, because he was going to do a retrieval regardless of how many eggs I had or follicles. So he says, it's your choice. You tell me, I'm just giving you the information. So I think towards the end is where I just walked away thinking, this is it. I'm going to freeze these eggs. And when I'm ready, I'm just going to have a baby. And I asked him, how long do I have to use these eggs? He's like, you're very healthy. You have a beautiful uterus. So whenever. So I was not pressed for time at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sonia, what about you?
Yeah, I would say it's also mixed, like the education stuff, like on how to do all the injections and when, and then the YouTube videos and like the nurse, like all of that, I was, really supported. But then I think, like the emotional side. And then when they're like, yeah, you might gain some weight, like I don't gain weight easily until I started IVF, and all those drugs like they overpowered my body. Like even after the first round of doing an IUI and not even introducing like Menopur or anything like that, right? Like it was wild to me. And that part I wasn't expecting, right? Like the high emotions and the low, like I wasn't expecting any of it. Like any of it. It was that part, knocked me on my ass for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then the emotional devastation. Like, they're like, yeah, sorry, you're not pregnant. Like the first IUI didn't work. And I'm like devastated, but they're like, okay, so you ready to go again? Like we can do this. And I'm sitting there going, should I feel devastated? Should I not? Like we can do this? Like, yeah, it was just like this. It's so weird. So that's where like finding other women in the community, that's what then cradled that spot for me and helped me get through those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with Sonia. Like, we don't talk about how it affects your body and how much weight you gain or the inflammation.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like my body has just been inflamed and bloated for 2 years.
Yeah.
And even when I took breaks from IVF or after my miscarriage, I could never get my hormones back to normal. And everybody around you thinks you're crazy, right? Adriana, you just need to be more disciplined. I'm like, no, I am very disciplined. I'm following this workout program. I'm eating a healthy diet. Nothing was working. But it's also, a lot of it is stress too.
Yeah. At every appointment, they ask me what my pre-pregnancy weight is. And I'm like, that is not a fair question to ask someone that has been doing IVF. I'm like, I have no idea because all these drugs have messed me up for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, I kind of felt like I was kind of put on that IVF conveyor belt of this is what you do. It's not about who you are or your story. It's you are on this conveyor belt and you just do the next step. I felt like that for a while. And they gave us videos, but it was just like, here's a link, do the videos. And that was really my education. And I kind of felt like that lacked. I kind of feel like we need a little bit more walkthrough during the process.
Yeah. So what I was told from women that did IVF, like 15 years ago in the States, that there were like these mandatory courses, a lot of clinics that you had to physically go to learn how to use all the medication. And then there's like this space of like more women are needing IVF and more clinics are wanting to make more money. So like, how do we speed that process up? And some of it is at the convenience of seeing more women, right? So more women have access, but then some of it is how can we make more money and what can we cut?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate being that person always, and I don't even like using the word hate, but like it's like that's a sad reality, at least in the States it is.
Right. How would you suggest someone prepare for IVF mentally and physically? Adriana, you want to start?
Oh, goodness. That's a tough one. Mentally, if you can find a therapist, I think that would be great. And finding a therapist that focuses on, or that is their specialty in fertility, it is so difficult because you can really go through your insurance and see, okay, it says these people or these doctors or these therapists specialize in this. They do not. So there are very, very few, but find a really good therapist that can help you, that can hopefully understand what you're going through, because no one else will understand, quite honestly. Also, if you feel comfortable telling your closest friends or family, just a circle of people, so that you can also talk to them, to have some sort of outlet, because it is an emotional roller coaster and it is a lonely road, and you feel like you're going crazy. But seriously, you feel like you're going crazy. So I think just having that outlet will really help mentally. And also just staying active. For me, mentally, that helps, whether that's going for walks. If you're just going for a walk, just go for a walk, enjoy nature. That helps me manage my stress. Physically, I've always been a pretty healthy person, so I didn't change really anything. I felt like I was in a good path. As a matter of fact, I started training maybe like a year before, 6 months. I was working with a personal trainer, and I said, I want to complete this IVF process. What should we be working on? So I followed a meal plan, a workout, and I continued that. So I think just staying active is really important, and having a healthy diet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say so. Kind of piggybacking off of the circle, I've called it like your personal board of directors, like, right? Like who's going to be like the people that you go to in this process, and to also be aware that it might not be your best friend.
Yeah.
Because if your best friend hasn't gone through this, they might say a well-intentioned thing, but the worst thing at the worst time. And that can send you spiraling. Mm-hmm. So really like understanding like that friendship, while it's special, sacred, and can still be a forever friend, may not be the person that you need right now as you're starting this process. For sure. Like that's like a big for me. And then, yeah, I would also say like, just really start reading what other women have gone through. Listen to like, there's podcasts out there. It's not even about the age thing, but yeah, like listen to what other women have gone through. And then, yeah, I don't know. I guess there's so many. I think I'll stick with that. The personal board of directors though, is like your first step mentally. And then physically, yeah, I mean, same thing. I honestly, when they told me like, don't exercise, you're going to like wrap around your ovaries and like it was like, I felt like it was like doom and gloom. So I was like, I can't really like sprint, can I? Like, I'm going to end up in the ER. So I think I would have asked also more questions, like realistically, what can I do? Right? Like not trying to, screw anything up because I'm spending thousands and thousands of dollars, but also when you told me like I couldn't work out, let's try to be a little bit more specific next time and ask those questions.
Yeah. I would also say look for other people that have definitely done IVF, because I struggled talking to people that have never done it.
Yeah.
They just don't understand. Like it's hard to say that they're probably not a good support system.
No, that's why I said like your best friend might not be the person for you during this process. I remember the one time when I was like talking to one of my friends and I was just like, I'm like, this IUI cycle, there's only three eggs. And she laughed so hard going, all it takes is one. What are you talking about? And I just went, oh my God, I can't do this with you.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this with you. Yeah. Well, it's hard.
Yeah. Nisha, what about you?
Yeah. So physically, I think meditation's a bit like Marmite, isn't it? Some people love it. Some people hate it. It got me through a lot of this during, but also before, just kind of, for me, breathing through it and just kind of saying to myself, I'm going to be okay no matter whatever the outcome. And actually just trying to let go of the process, like the control, like there's only so much you can do. And then you've got to let it go and just saying, I don't have control over this. I've got to let go of the outcome. I'll put 100% into it. So journaling, meditation, walks, visualization, whatever works for you, I definitely encourage that. I think mentally there's so many things. And, Adriana, Sonia, you've kind of covered most things that I was thinking. But just one thing I think, which is really important to me, is to have a think about who you want to share information with, because no doubt everyone around you is going to be concerned and care and probably know that you're going to be going through IVF because you're not drinking anymore and you're not going out as much. But it's okay to say, I don't really want to talk about it, or I'll let you know if I've got anything to share. Don't be afraid to actually protect yourself and to not have to share. You're not indebted to anyone. And I found that really hard because I felt like people care, so I should share and I should tell them and update them. And there were so many days where I didn't want to, and I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. And it was only until I spoke to my husband and said, I'm feeling really overwhelmed because everyone keeps messaging me and asking me, how's it going? And I just didn't want to say anything. And he was like, just tell them, you'll share if you've got any news, but you need some space. And I did that. And I think that was me respecting myself and protecting myself. And I think that's really important to do. And don't be afraid to do that.
That's good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's like spot on.
Mm.
I think that's really good, Nisha. I think setting boundaries and knowing what those boundaries are and to protect your energy and yourself. I think it's so important. And then Sonia, I want to piggyback on you because you're pretty active as well. So for me, the first time I did my IVF, they said, no working out, nothing. You cannot do anything. So the second time they're like, no, you can't really work out, but can I walk? Yeah, you can walk. You just can't really run. Okay, that's good enough. So I think just asking more specific questions because working out is different for everybody. So
yeah. I wanted to mention about physically. I think it would be good to kind of assess what you're doing physically and maybe rule out something. Like somebody asked if they should quit caffeine. And for me, that was really important to quit and stop. So I did it like 6 months before I ever did a transfer.
Whereas I drank coffee all the way up until the morning of transfer. Isn't that funny? I know, right?
Yeah. It works. You know, there's so many different cases where it works and it probably doesn't matter.
I think that's like on the mental side, like leaning into what matters to you and like your values. So kind of what Nisha was talking about, like this, yes, giving up control and then also going, these 3 things really matter to me, or this one thing matters. And I'm going to continue to make it matter just because it's going to help me get through it. So if not drinking caffeine matters and that's what you want to lean into, then that's what you should lean into because that's going to help you because you're like, no, this is really important to me. Right? Like that piece has to be there.
Yeah. Because I knew how addicted I can get to that 1 cup of coffee. And it was just really important that I stop way before I even really did much.
I don't know what 1 cup of coffee is. So
Same. I always said, even through my pregnancy, I don't miss alcohol at all, but I really miss the caffeine.
Yeah. Especially during the first trimester when you're just like falling asleep.
Yeah.
When they said I could have 250 milliliters of coffee a day, I literally measured it in a measuring cup. I'm not kidding you. I measured it. And then I was like, okay,
this is it.
I'd go downstairs. I'd run downstairs and I'd like sniff my husband's coffee because I'm like, oh my God, I've got withdrawal symptoms. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah.
What advice would you have for the women starting the IVF process? Sonia, you want to go first?
Yeah. Again, like going back to that personal board of directors, like finding those people that it's not about like they can support you, they can be your best friend, but like who also have had some experience or can really empathize with what this process is about to do. Because the medications, the emotions, the roller coasters, the like all of these pivots that inevitably happen to a lot of women. And then if you're the person that doesn't need or doesn't like the everything's going to be okay, it's all going to work out, which most people who haven't been through this process will say, right? That's like, and it's well-intentioned, I think, but really finding other women in particular who have gone through it, and then also who have a similar approach to how you handle things, right? So if you're really religious, then find other women who are religious, who are also going through IVF. If you're not, right, like that, like those things matter when it comes to how you find support.
That's good. Nisha, what about you?
Yeah, it's really funny when you said, when other people say it to you, it's completely different to when you say it to yourself. So if someone else had said to me, no matter what, you're going to be okay, I would have wanted to punch them in the face.
Right.
But me saying it to myself was really important because it was me protecting myself again and it was almost like strengthening my mental health by saying, I'm going to be okay, no matter what, I'm going to be okay. Like for me, it was really important to repeat that to myself. But yeah, and I think though, in addition to that, I think we're so good at beating ourselves up, aren't we? We're so good at I guarantee you, everyone that's going through IVF are putting 150% into this.
Absolutely.
They're doing what they feel is right. There's no way someone's going through all of this hardship and saying, sod it, I can't be bothered today. I think I'm going to smoke a cigarette. I'm going to have a glass of wine. No one's doing that. But yet you go to bed going, did I maybe I walked too fast? Maybe I timed my medication a bit late. Maybe I did the. Stop feeling guilty. Stop beating yourself up, and please just be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest advice I can give. Do things that make you happy because it's bloody tough. And the worst thing you can do is feel that you're not doing enough, because you are, and you are enough.
And I think that when you talk to other people and other women who have gone through it, you'll get that, because by yourself in your own head, I did not do that for myself or get that for myself.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that was so well said. That was so well said.
Yeah, I've got shivers down my spine just thinking about all these women out there that even outside of the IVF, even, just generally, I just think women, they're just so hard on themselves, man. You've just got to stop it. You've got to be more kind to yourself. It's not right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Adriana, what about you?
So I'll start with what Sonia talked about, having board of directors, and I think I'm going to steal that one from you, because
your personal board of directors.
I'm going to steal it just for my life.
Honestly,
board of directors.
So we learned that in appreciative education, right? Teaching students. Nice. Yeah. So that's where I use a lot of the stuff, and I adapt it into this space because it works. It works. Yeah.
I think that's great, because I always mention my inner circle or my tribe, but I think that's good. It's really good, because you will think of, wait, who do I want in my personal board of directors? Who will be supportive to me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then who do I go to for which thing? Right.
Yeah.
So your best friend can be there, but she or he or they may not be the person for this to go to. So you go to the next one that's there for this space.
Saying it in that way gives it so much a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think they'll take their job more seriously too, if you call it that. They will be there for you. So that's an important one. The other thing, if you're just starting IVF, I feel like thinking about your job as well, maybe trying to lighten the load if possible. Yeah. I know sometimes it is not. The job that I'm currently in is so flexible, and I can make my own schedule, and it was great. And it still felt like there was just so much going on. Like I'm running around to my doctor every other day, or however often I went. So I think that is so important. The job that I'm going to be going into it's insane. I'm going to be working probably twice as much. I'm going to be traveling. And so thinking of those women also. So manage that, and don't be afraid to say no. I am that person that I will volunteer. And I'm thinking, why did I volunteer? I have this other personal thing going on. Now I have to rearrange this. It's insane. Say no. Don't feel bad about it. And just give yourself that space and that time to take care of yourself. And then I think the third thing that I've learned also is your partner. So make your partner part of the process. In my experience, initially, my partner said, you just don't share what's going on, right? You're going to make the decisions. You're doing all these things. And I thought, you're right, because I'm just here and I'm the one that's talking to the insurance. I am the one going to the doctor. I am the one talking to the pharmacy. So you're right. And I said, you may not understand the roller coaster that I'm going through, but I think these are some of the things that you can do. So start taking your vitamin, right? Are you taking your vitamin every day? So that's one thing you're contributing, because that's what the doctor told us to do to prepare. Listen to this couple. They have a podcast. You can get a different side or a different perspective from this male and this couple and how they went through it. And so if they don't do those things, probably a red flag, right? Which was in my case, like, okay, I'm trying to get you involved in the process and it's very, very difficult. So maybe some of the things they can do also is, if you're on the same insurance plan, maybe having them order the meds for you, right? Or giving you the shots, talking to the insurance, the billing department. So those little tasks, maybe getting them involved, and always communicating to make sure you're both on the same page, because it's very easy to just go in different directions because you're here and they're thinking, oh my gosh, where's the fun Adriana? Like, where did she go? She's going crazy.
I'm guilty of that too. And I also struggle with not wanting to complain.
Yes. I'm not going to complain, because then I'm going crazy and then I'm a complainer. So I'm just going to keep going. Just keep moving forward.
But also there's this kind of, you want to define yourself as a strong woman. And so you constantly say, I don't need to share anything because I'm strong. I can take it. I'm doing all of this. And actually, I think strength comes from being vulnerable and 100% crying and be okay with all of that. Just, extending upon what you said, Adriana, I think for me, it was important to tell my husband to check in on me every so often, because I'm really good at putting that, giving that perception of I'm strong, I can get through it. He thinks I am strong. He takes it by my word, and I don't really complain and I don't ask him for help until I all of a sudden burst and he's like, where did that come from? So I'm like, just check in on
you are explaining my life right now, by the way. You are explaining my life.
Exactly. Well, yeah, now I know I'm not the only one. So, but yeah, that's kind of,
I was also that woman at the beginning of this journey that was like, I'm really fucking strong. Like, I can do this. And then I did it, but I wasn't talking to anybody. And it was just, I didn't realize how much hurt I had in me and anger and all these things until I started talking about it with other women going through it. And then I was hyperventilating because I was crying so hard. But I was also shocked that I was, because I was like, it was just all pouring out of me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Sonia, because you and Nisha as well, because yes, for me, okay, type A, I'm a strong, independent woman. I've been taking care of myself. I've done this. I'm going to do this at work. If I work really hard, I'm going to get this job, or I'm going to get this one thing that I've been working for because I've been doing all the things, right? Checking it off. Yep. Okay, here you go. We have the perception, or I had the perception, unfortunately, that if I did all of the things, it was going to work. And letting go. And I'm a little bit of a control freak. So not having control over my emotions, not having control over the results, regardless of how hard I worked. And I followed the instructions to the T. It is so, so hard. And being vulnerable, that is so, so important, because I've learned that lesson too. And I think I've been doing this for a couple of years, and now I'm just trying to allow myself to be more vulnerable to talk about it and to share. Because it's hard. I mean, you just feel like there's this elephant sitting on your chest. And then when you finally let it out, like, oh my gosh, that was 2 years of putting things on a shelf internally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're taking them all down at the same time. And it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. It really,
and it's always something really small that triggers it as well, isn't it? So it's like, oh, he made dinner at like 8:30 and we should be eating at 8. And all of a sudden I'm bawling my eyes out. And he's like, it's only half an hour late, love. And I'm like, it's not that, it's everything. And you're just like, so just kind of asking your partner or your loved one, or it doesn't even have to be your husband, to check in on you, I think is really important.
And that's the end of part 1 of the IVF Over 40 Roundtable discussion. Stay tuned for part 2 as episode 81, where we go through the IVF process and discuss each step and our experiences. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next Monday.